we get started, does anyone want to get out?
All right, guys. So we are here. It is Saturday, March 1st, and we are here. We have just finished watching Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and we are back with top tier MCU movies again. Kind of hit a little bit of a slump with, Iron Man 3, which Iron Man 3 was not as bad as I remember it being. But, then we hit a bad movie with, Thor: The Dark World. But now we've reached peak MCU with Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie's fantastic. Directed by the Russo brothers, written by Chris Marcus and Steve McFeely. The first of many collaborations. Between Marvel Studios and the Russo brothers. This movie's fantastic. This film is a gritty 70s style political thriller, and it absolutely kind of thrives on that. This movie just has that gritty, like, action, like that gritty vibe of like a Jason Bourne movie, mixed with a little bit of it's got elements from all these other political thrillers, like Three Days of the Condor, and all these other incredible films. But the thing I love most about this movie is what it does for Captain America, and what it does to him as a character, and where it puts him physically, where it puts him and where it puts him mentally as well. Because when you pull him out of the ice, in Avengers, you have a little bit of time for him to go, oh yeah, I went under, and but then you got to get right to the plot of Loki took the Tesseract, but you don't get to really understand the weight of what he's lost. This movie, the first kind of like 10 minutes of this movie, you get to really understand the weight of everything he's lost. Emotionally, like, he's lost his friends, he lost his loved ones, being stuck in the ice for that long. And obviously the scene with Peggy is such a beautifully tragic, but a beautiful, heartwarming yet tragic scene at the same time. The action is great. Obviously the elevator fight for me is my favorite action scene of the whole movie. Like, there is not a single, don't get me wrong, the action's great, but not one action scene in this movie tops the elevator fight for me. Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? And then the moment Cap says that elevator fight it kicks up to a whole new level. And then what it does, like, in terms of taking Steve Rogers and putting him in a post 9/11 era. Because one of the, I think it was one of the screenwriters, I can't remember if it was Chris Marcus or Stephen McFeely, who said that in the comics back in, like the 60s Captain America, he comes out of the ice in the 60s comics, and he's, addressing, he's addressing all of, like, the issues that are happening within the 60s era. So he's talking about, like, the hippie movements and all this kind of stuff. But this version, the MCU Captain America, is a Captain America who came out of the ice in 2012. So he missed all of that. He missed Vietnam. He missed all of the really messed up stuff that happened after World War II. He missed 9/11. He missed all this really messed up stuff that turned our society from a morally good place to a morally gray area. We no longer live in a black, whereas Steve Rogers lived in a world where it was black and white back in the 40s. He's now living in a world that has a morally gray area, and he's having to readjust to that, and he's getting thrown into that and learning the hard way of having to basically discover that this thing that he sacrificed his life to stop never died off. It grew. If anything, it grew to become even bigger than it was back when he was fighting in the in the 40s. But yeah, so this movie is fantastic. I love it. I think I can't think of a single thing. There's not a single flaw with this movie. Like, I think it's perfect. I think it's pitch perfect. I think it's a pitch perfect comic book movie. I think it's I think it's excellent, kind of an excellent display of filmmaking, like visual filmmaking and storytelling, character development. It's got all of it for me, and I love this movie. Those are my thoughts on Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Join me tomorrow, where I will talk about a movie that's near and dear to my heart. And I think I have it here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I will be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, tomorrow. So join me for that tomorrow. Guys, also don't forget the Oscars are tomorrow. On my Instagram, I will have a full kind of reaction to all the winners and all the losers, to all the winners of the Oscars, like I do every year, and I will do an immediate reaction to the winners of this year's Academy Awards video after the awards. So, but that will do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.